The next episode of EPM Chronicles and Confessions. We have Roland Schubert here with us. Roland, could you please introduce yourself and your career journey?
Yeah, thank you, Tim. And thanks for having me. I tried to tell a long story short because I'm talking about 35 years at all. When I started my career, I had no intention to deal with enterprise performance management. To be honest, the term didn't exist that time.
Yeah.
So I started in a retail company after finishing university, and I switched to a consulting company very soon. It was Sony EMI computer software. Maybe there is someone who remembers the company exists. The original intention was that I act as a kind of translator between business requirements and implementation. But I soon learned that it was easy to implement things. So I got my hands dirty and started doing implementation work myself. So really great experience to learn things like that and to get into a completely new area, for me at least. And so I started designing and implementing decision support systems, especially systems related to financial close. And it was a chance to apply the knowledge I acquired before, but I recognized soon that financial close is not my real interest. So I started concentrating on planning applications very soon. As times go by, my career took off, and I took over the management of a consulting team and account management and things like that. But after a while, I decided it would be the best decision to start my own company. So I did that a lot of years ago, more than 30 years in between. And I started with a team of freelance consultants. So I decided not to hire people, but instead hire the best man for the specific task. Started working with the products I knew at that time. But it happened to me that I got in touch with R.S.V.P. Today, it's Oracle S-Base.
Yep.
And it was a kind of falling in love. And suddenly I could do things I could never imagine. And it was really easy. So I started working with that product. And to be honest, I still work with it. So it's a real long time journey. So what did I do? I designed and created solutions related to monitoring and managing a company performance. Identifying risks and chances and so on. And after doing so for years, I think Gartner in 2001 brought up the term enterprise performance management. And I thought by myself, oh man, that's what I'm doing. So I had a label for my daily work. And I had the hope it would be easier to explain what I was doing. But I was wrong. It was complicated. And a lot of people didn't understand what it really is, what it really should be. But anyway, I think everyone working in this field, in the field of enterprise performance management, has same experience on that. Yeah. And a few years ago, I joined R.S.V.P as a partner. R.S.V.P was dealing primarily with financial close. So after Hyperion had acquired Arbor, it was a perfect fit. So the people at R.S.V.P did the financial close work. I, supported by my team, did everything related to planning and analytics. So yeah, great experience. And yeah, it continued even after Hyperion was acquired by Oracle. Things changed, products changed, but yeah, I'm still working with Oracle products, still planning, still S-Base, and of course EPM Cloud. Yeah. In addition to the things I do with EPM, I started using analytics products. So also a few years ago, I learned a product called Alteryx, which is a no-code solution for the complete analytics path. So data extraction, data preparation, data analysis. And it was really fun. So I concentrated a bit on this, a bit more than on EPM. But in between, I've seen that as EPM is also evolving, it makes sense to combine analytics and EPM, and to use analytics as a platform, as a foundation for EPM. So I think the future for me will be to do both, and to do both in combination.
Oh, fantastic. So have you had any misconceptions of EPM when you describe it to somebody in terms of what you do?
Yes, no, it's really funny what happens. So in the beginning, people thought that I was evaluating employees' performance in the enterprise. And as I was a consultant at some clients, people changed their working style a bit when I was in the room. Yeah, it was really interesting. Other people had heard the term EPM, and yeah, they thought it was purely an IT topic. And they asked me things like, so you are working in IT, you are a programmer, could you help me with some computer problems I have? Yeah, in general, I think the problem with EPM is that it's really not only IT. It's a concept of which involves processes and structures and metrics and systems. And it's often reduced only to systems or tools. In my personal opinion, it's the fault of the software vendors who use the label to put it on their financial close or planning or reporting products, to have a common label or a marketing label for that. So it's reduced, and I think EPM has a bit lost its way, and the process component is not as in the focus as it should be.
Sure. So what's been your biggest career challenge and solution to that?
In general, the biggest challenge always or very often was that people expect if they buy a new tool, a new product, that all their problems will be solved. But the problem is that, yeah, if you have an unstructured, messy process, you can use the best software in the world. It will not solve the problem. And to explain to a client that it needs more, that you have to rethink a process, that you have to discuss how to handle things, and to rethink processes, to change structures, to change processes is always a big challenge. I think that's the biggest problem for most EPM consultants, to meet expectation that you will you will solve all the problems only by implementing a software. Of course, this expectation is fostered by software sales, and you have to deal with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So could you share with us a standout success story that you've had?
Yeah, of course. There is, I think, a very interesting project I managed a while ago. And as a really interesting thing in this project is that I personally didn't do a lot on this project, but the people at the client did. So we had to build a new planning solution for a big retail company in Germany. And I said, okay, we have two options. Option one is I build it for you, or I with my team build it for you. And the other option is you build it yourself and I help you to build it. And we really managed to do the complete project without me touching the keyboard. That's not completely true, but for most part it is. So people from controlling FP&A did the work. We did the complete modeling together, and the result was good for the client. They could do all the maintenance, all the changes they had to implement later on themselves. And I think it was a big success to finish a project like that. A lot of people, especially from IT at that client, said it will never work. But we succeeded.
Fantastic. So what's the most rewarding part of your job?
For me, it's having impact. So you have the chance, you have the unique chance to really create benefit for the client. So if you identify risks or highlight chances, or teach the client or show the client how to identify risks and chances using data, using a system, it's the company benefits, and it's something they will profit from in all future years.
Sure, thank you. So have you got any funny career moments that you can share with us?
There are lots of funny moments. One interesting story is let me tell two stories. One story is related to a specific person I met, I think 5 times in my career, different clients. And the really funny thing is that it seems he didn't remember me after changing from one company to another. We started not really as friends. So he was not very happy to have an EPM product in his company. At the last station we met, it worked really well, and we had a really good relationship. So it often happens that you meet the same people at different companies, that people switching from a management position at company one to company B call you and say, okay, I want you to do the same. It was different in this case, but I always said, oh no, not again.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I'm not really good in naming applications, and that's always it's always complicated to find something. How do you call it? And at one client, we built a system that was meant to analyze customer behavior and customer value. And we discussed how should we call it, and it took hour by hour. And at one point, I said, okay, simply, we could just pick a name. We can call it Paul if you want. It doesn't matter. And the answer was, okay, let's call it Paul. So, okay, Paul was in use for years at that client, and it was presented at different conferences. And the title of the presentation was "Who Actually is Paul?", which was, by the way, a sentence from a commercial spot on German TV.
Fantastic. So could you share a professional best practice with the audience?
There are lots of best practices related to technology or to business, but I think what's highly underrated is people. People for me are the most important component of in this context. The business experts have knowledge on processes and on relationships within the company, and they have the experience what will happen when. And it's even if they are not people usually working with data, it's extremely important to include them. So even if you come to a company as a consultant and think, okay, I know the conception, I know how to implement it, you need the people and you have to include the people.
Thank you there. So how do you track the latest trends and stuff that's happening out there in EPM?
I think it's easier today than ever. In the early years, I had to visit fairs, I had to go to congresses, and getting a presentation for a new software product, for example, or to learn about a new concept was really high effort. You had especially to get a presentation for a software you didn't work with was really complicated, because sometimes they know you are working with this software and they don't want to show you things and so on. So today it's easy. Nearly everything is available online. So you can watch presentations or of new products online. You can listen to podcasts like yours,
Yeah,
which is
definitely.
really great.
Mm.
You can you can watch webinars, not only webinars presented by software vendors, but also by groups like FP&A Trends or so, where business experts tell you what they need, what they do, how their processes work, and where they fail. It was complicated to get this information years ago. Now it's easy. And in addition, there are lots of blogs and communities. So yeah. And to be honest, I spend a considerable time, a share of my time, to have the latest trends and to see current development.
Yes, fantastic. So what's your advice for newcomers or beginners in the industry?
Actually, there are more than one. One point is that they should not concentrate on technology. They should always keep in mind that as an EPM consultant, other than someone who is just programming applications, you have to know a lot about the business content. If you don't understand what a number means, you will have no platform for conversation with your client, or it will be much more complicated. So that means don't learn only tools, learn concepts, learn the business background. And also for that, there are lots of opportunities. There is executive education available online. You couldn't imagine years ago. You have the chance to learn about finance at the top business schools. So you should do also things like that, in addition to learning to have a solid foundation on the tools you're working with, of course. But tools are just an instrument, are a tool to implement things you learned from a conceptual side. The other thing is, it's extremely important today, it's extremely important to be active in the community. So network with other consultants, even if they are from competition. It's no one knows everything.
Sure.
And it's always helpful if you have a chance to ask people.
Sure. So thank you so much. So what will you think will happen in the next 5 years in our industry?
I see 3 trends emerging. So the first one is that things are changing in terms of the content. While for the last years, it was mainly a finance focus. So EPM was an instrument to see finance data, P&L and balance sheet and cash flow and so on, and KPIs calculated based on data from these financial statements. Things will change. People recognize that it's important to know more about customers, to know more about employees. So things like customer value will be more important, or employee value. And unstructured data will find its way. So EPM will not be limited to the finance, but will include additional values. And so FP&A emerges to XP&A. The same will happen to EPM. And yeah, it will be broader. And it will be what the name says. It will be enterprise.
Yeah.
And not only financial. Another thing is that data and analytics gets more important. So it's not longer true that the highest paid person's opinion counts only. Also, the highest paid person has to bring data and has to prove the opinion. And yeah, it will be more important to have calculations to show what you expect to happen. And planning will not reflect what shareholders wish or want, but it will be, yeah, it will be an expectation and a plan for activities to reach the goal. So there will be a new platform for that. And yeah, maybe things like, I'm not sure if I should call it artificial intelligence, but let's say all kinds of prediction or of validation of the data you have created or you have entered will be more important in the future. And a third trend I expect to happen during the last decade or so, we saw concentration. So a lot of software vendors merged or were acquired by bigger companies.
Yes.
And I expect this to change. I think that smaller companies have a real chance now to get a considerable market share.
Yeah.
If they are fast enough, if they listen to what the customer wants.
Yes.
And so I think in a few years, we will not say we need to have one solution for all EPM from one customer. We will, yeah, it will tend to be a best in breed. So maybe there is one solution for planning and another solution for financial close, which are, in my personal opinion, I think Oracle, for example, will not agree with that, are not as closely related as software vendors sometimes think.
Sure, sure.
So, yeah, it will be interesting times in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this insightful and educational podcast. And definitely we will try to do some podcasts in the future. So have a nice day, Roland, and good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good time.